You ever ask yourself, why? Why the pain? Why the betrayal? Why the heartbreak? Why would God allow them to hurt you? See, sometimes in life we focus so much on the hurt that we forget the lesson. We focus on the loss, but don't see the growth. We ask God, why me? Instead of asking, what now? Let me tell you something. God don't waste pain. Every struggle, every tear, every moment of suffering, he is using it not to break you, not to destroy you, but to build you, to prepare you, to strengthen you. Pain has a way of hitting us harder than we ever expect. It comes in many forms: heartbreak, betrayal, rejection, loss. Each of these things can leave deep scars on the soul. When we find ourselves in the midst of such turmoil, we often question the meaning behind it. Why do we have to go through these experiences? Why does God allow such hurt to enter our lives? These are questions that seem impossible to answer in the heat of the moment, yet there is something incredibly powerful that happens when we lean into our pain instead of running from it. The truth is, growth often requires discomfort. It is in those moments of struggle, those times when we are pressed to our limits, that we begin to uncover who we truly are. We like to think of ourselves as strong, capable individuals, but real strength is not born from ease. It's forged in the fires of adversity. You see, when everything is smooth, when life is easy, there is no real challenge, no need for growth. But when you're tested, when you're forced to deal with the weight of the world on your shoulders, that's when you start to see how much you can endure. Think about the times you've grown the most in your life. Were they the moments when things were going perfectly? Or were they the times when you had to fight, had to get back up after being knocked down, had to rebuild your life from scratch? More often than not, it's the struggles that shape us, that change us, and ultimately that strengthen us. Pain has a way of pushing us to our limits, and when we reach those limits, we realize we're capable of so much more than we ever thought possible. In the midst of hurt, it's hard to see the bigger picture. It feels as if the pain is all consuming and there's no way out. But that's the trick. The pain isn't meant to destroy you, it's meant to grow you. God knows exactly what you need in order to step into the next season of your life. The challenges you face are not random, they are part of the divine plan, and they are pushing you towards something greater. When you endure hardship, you build resilience. You learn patience. You learn to trust God in ways that would not be possible if everything were handed to you on a silver platter. The reality is, growth is a process. It doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen without discomfort. But there is a purpose in the pain. When you look back on the toughest moments of your life, you'll realize that they were the moments that defined you. They were the moments that made you stronger, wiser, and more capable of handling whatever life throws your way next. Without pain, there would be no progress. Without challenges, there would be no change. God allows us to experience pain because he knows that it is through these experiences that we become who we are meant to be. The hurt is not meaningless. It is part of the refining process. It's the way that God shapes us into the people he created us to be. Just like gold is refined in fire, we too are refined in the fire of our struggles. We may feel like we're being burned, but in reality, we are being purified. Our true selves emerging stronger and more resilient than before. The next time you find yourself hurting, remember that growth is happening beneath the surface. You might not see it right away, but every tear, every moment of discomfort is leading you to a place of deeper understanding, greater strength, and more profound faith. It's in those moments of struggle that we find out just how much we can handle. And when we come through the other side, we are not the same person we were when we started. The pain was the catalyst for transformation, the beginning of a journey that would lead us to a better version of ourselves. So, the next time you face a challenge, don't resist it. Don't try to run from it. Embrace the pain because it's shaping you. It's preparing you for the next chapter in your life. It's teaching you lessons that you would never learn if everything were easy. And when you emerge from that pain, you'll find that you are stronger, wiser, and more capable than ever before. When we experience pain or suffering, our immediate response is often to question why it is happening to us. We might ask ourselves why God would allow us to go through such difficult moments, why He would permit us to endure hurt, heartbreak, or loss. It's natural to feel this way when life seems to be throwing curveballs at us from every direction. We often look at the situation in front of us, and it feels like nothing good could possibly come from it. But when we take a step back, we begin to see that there is more to the story. There is a deeper purpose behind every trial and every hardship. God's purpose in our suffering is not to punish us, but to refine us. It's easy to think of pain as a punishment, a consequence for something we did wrong. But that mindset can keep us stuck in a cycle of bitterness, anger, and hopelessness. Instead of seeing the pain as something we must endure simply because of a mistake, we should begin to view it as an opportunity to grow. God allows suffering because He knows that it's through hardship that we are shaped into the people we are meant to be. Through every trial, He is working to bring out something better in us, to prepare us for what lies ahead. Often we want to skip the hard parts of life, hoping for an easy road to happiness. We see other people's successes, their seemingly perfect lives, and wish that we could have that too. But what we don't always see is the work that went into getting there. We don't see the sleepless nights, the tears, or the sacrifices that were made to get to that point. It's only through struggle and adversity that we begin to understand the value of the journey. Without pain, there would be no appreciation for the moments of joy and success that come later. The truth is, suffering has a way of drawing us closer to God. When things are going well, when life is smooth, we often forget to rely on Him. But when we face adversity, when we're knocked down and we feel like we can't go on, we have no choice but to turn to God for strength. Pain has a way of breaking us open, of stripping away everything that isn't essential. It makes us vulnerable, and in that vulnerability, we find God in ways that we never would have experienced had everything been easy. The pain pushes us to trust God more deeply, to lean on Him for comfort and guidance. It is in these moments that our faith becomes real, tangible, and tested. Moreover, suffering is not just about personal growth, it's also about compassion for others. When we go through something difficult, we gain the ability to empathize with others who are going through similar struggles. Our own pain teaches us how to show kindness, how to offer support, how to truly understand the depths of someone else's hurt. We learn that we are not alone in our suffering and that the pain we endure connects us to a larger human experience. This empathy opens our hearts to others and helps us build deeper, more meaningful relationships. God's plan for our lives is always bigger than what we can see in the moment. We may not understand the reasoning behind our suffering while we are in the midst of it, but we can trust that there is a purpose. God is always at work, even when it feels like He is silent or distant. The pain we feel is temporary, but the growth and the lessons we gain from it are permanent. Every hardship we face is preparing us for a greater purpose, whether we can see that purpose now or not. In time, we will come to realize that the trials we went through were stepping stones, pushing us toward a destiny that we couldn't have reached without them. Looking back, it's often clear that the most difficult moments of our lives were the ones that led us to where we are now. If we had never experienced that heartbreak, we might not have found the strength to pursue our dreams. If we had never suffered that loss, we might not have learned to appreciate what we have today. If we had never been tested, we wouldn't have developed the resilience and faith that we carry with us now. In the end, suffering isn't meaningless. It's a tool that God uses to mold us, to refine our character, and to draw us closer to the life He has for us. So, while we may never fully understand why God allows pain in our lives, we can trust that there is a purpose behind it. Every trial, every hardship is part of his divine plan. It is through the struggle that we are refined, that we grow, and that we become who we were always meant to be. Timing is something that we often try to control in our lives. We want things to happen on our schedule, according to our plans, and in a way that makes sense to us. But as we all know, life doesn't always unfold according to our timeline. We experience delays, setbacks, and moments of waiting that leave us frustrated and unsure of what's coming next. It's easy to feel like we're stuck, like we're not moving forward fast enough, or like we're missing out on opportunities because things aren't happening when we think they should. But here's the truth: God's timing is always perfect, even when it doesn't feel like it in the moment. When we look back on the events of our lives, we often realize that the timing was exactly what it needed to be. There were moments when we thought we were ready for something, but in hindsight, we can see that we weren't. There were opportunities that didn't come when we expected them, but when they did arrive, we were in a better place to receive them. The truth is, we often don't see the full picture. We get caught up in our own desires, in the things that we think are best for us, and we forget that God sees the entire road ahead. He knows where we need to be, when we need to be there, and what needs to happen before we can move forward. God's timing is not based on our impatience or our understanding. It's based on His perfect plan for our lives. He knows what we need to grow, what we need to learn, and what we need to experience in order to become the people He created us to be. Sometimes that means we have to wait, and in that waiting, we learn patience, trust, and persevere. It's easy to get discouraged when things aren't moving as quickly as we would like, but those moments of waiting are not wasted. They are opportunities for us to build character, to strengthen our faith, and to prepare ourselves for what's ahead. One of the hardest parts of trusting God's timing is accepting the delays. We often feel like we've done everything right, like we've put in the work and taken the right steps, but things still aren't happening. It's in these moments that we need to remind ourselves that God is not working on our timeline. He's working on a much bigger, much more perfect timeline. Sometimes what we see as a delay is actually God protecting us or preparing us for something even greater. What we think of as a setback could be the exact thing we need to set us up for success in the future. Think about a time in your life when you were frustrated by the pace of things, when you wanted something to happen sooner, but it didn't. Looking back now, you may realize that had it happened any earlier, you wouldn't have been ready for it. You may have missed out on the lessons that the waiting period taught you. You may have missed out on the opportunities that only became available when the timing was right. God knows exactly when to open doors and when to close them. He knows exactly when to move you forward and when to hold you back. There are also times when we feel like God's timing is not just slow, but completely out of sync with our lives. We see others around us achieving success, moving forward, or getting what they want while we feel like we're stuck in place. It's easy to feel left behind, as if we're not getting what we deserve, or that we're being forgotten. But the truth is, God's timing doesn't work on a comparison basis. Just because it seems like someone else is ahead doesn't mean that they are on the right path, and it doesn't mean that your timing is off. God has a unique path for each of us, and just because someone else's journey looks different doesn't mean you're not exactly where you need to be. What we sometimes fail to see is that God is not just concerned with the end result of our lives. He's concerned with the process. He's concerned with who we become along the way, how we grow, and how we learn to trust Him more deeply. Every delay, every challenge, and every setback is a part of the process. It's a chance for us to build resilience, to develop our character, and to learn patience. And when the time is right, He will open the doors we've been waiting for, and everything will fall into place. We are often quick to rush through the stages of life, eager to get to the next chapter, but God's timing is not about rushing, it's about developing. It's about making sure that when you step into the next phase, you are prepared for it. And while it may feel uncomfortable or frustrating at times, we can trust that He is using every moment of our waiting to equip us for the future He has in store for us. When we begin to trust in God's timing, we release the pressure of trying to control the pace of our lives. We begin to see that the delays, the detours, and the pauses are all part of the bigger picture, leading us to a place where we can fully embrace what He has for us. Strength is something that we often think of in terms of physical power or endurance, but true strength goes much deeper than that. It's not just about how much weight we can lift or how long we can run. It's about the inner resilience that we develop in the face of adversity. When life knocks us down, when we face the hardest challenges, it's not our physical strength that gets us through. It's our inner strength, our ability to endure and keep moving forward no matter how tough the road ahead seems. And the truth is, the more we go through in life, the stronger we become. This inner strength is built through the struggles, the hardships, and the pain that we experience. When we face a difficult situation, whether it's a personal loss, a betrayal, or a failure, we're forced to dig deep and find a strength we didn't know we had. It's not about being invincible or unbreakable. It's about being able to bend without breaking, to endure without losing hope. And each time we go through a tough season and make it through to the other side, we become a little bit stronger. We gain more resilience, more determination, and a deeper understanding of who we are and what we are capable of. What's important to understand is that strength doesn't come easily. It's forged in the fire of life's challenges. Think about the hardest moment you've ever faced. At the time, it probably felt like the end of the world. It felt like you would never make it through. But somehow, here you are, still standing, still pushing forward, and probably stronger for having gone through it. That's the power of adversity. It has a way of shaping us, of forcing us to become stronger than we ever thought possible. In those moments, you discover what you're made of. You discover that you have a well of strength inside you that you never knew existed. But strength doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It's a process. It's developed over time, built by the small decisions we make every day to keep going, to keep pushing forward, even when we don't feel like it. Every time we face a setback, a failure, or a painful situation and choose to get back up instead of staying down, we are building strength. Strength isn't just about the big dramatic moments. It's also about the quiet moments of determination, the small acts of perseverance that add up over time. And it's in these moments, when we think we can't go on, but we choose to anyway, that our strength grows the most. The process of building strength often requires us to confront our fears, our insecurities, and our limitations. It's not easy to face the things that scare us or to push ourselves beyond our comfort zones. But in doing so, we grow. Strength is developed by stepping into the unknown, by doing the things that challenge us, and by refusing to let fear control our lives. Every time we face a challenge and push through it, we prove to ourselves that we are capable of more than we thought. It's like a muscle. Every time we exercise it, it gets stronger. And over time, we become more confident in our ability to handle whatever comes our way. One of the most important aspects of building strength is learning to trust ourselves. When life is tough, it's easy to doubt ourselves, to wonder if we're strong enough to handle what we're going through. But the truth is, we often underestimate our own resilience. We don't give ourselves enough credit for the battles we've already fought and won. Every struggle we face teaches us something about ourselves. It reveals our strength, our perseverance, and our ability to rise above the challenges in our lives. The more we trust ourselves and our ability to handle difficulty, the more confident we become in our inner strength. It's also important to remember that strength doesn't mean doing everything alone. We often think that in order to be strong, we need to face everything on our own, without help or support. But true strength comes from knowing when to lean on others. We don't have to carry our burdens alone. Strength isn't about being isolated. It's about knowing when to reach out for help and when to let others support us. There's power in vulnerability. There's power in admitting that we don't have all the answers, that we don't always have the strength to go it alone. And when we allow ourselves to lean on others, we build deeper connections, more meaningful relationships, and ultimately more strength. True strength is not about never falling or never making mistakes. It's about how we rise after we fall. It's about how we get back up, how we keep moving forward, and how we use the lessons we've learned to grow stronger. It's not about being perfect or having it all together. It's about being willing to keep going, even when things are tough. Strength is built in the moments when we think we can't go any further, but we choose to keep moving anyway. And the more we choose to keep going, the stronger we become, until one day we realize that the challenges that once seemed insurmountable are now just another step in our journey. And through it all, we learn that we are capable of far more than we ever imagined. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful gifts we can give ourselves, even though it often feels like the hardest thing to do. When someone hurts us, when we are wronged, it's natural to feel anger, resentment, and pain. These emotions are powerful and they can consume us if we let them. It can feel justified to hold on to these feelings because the person who hurt us may not deserve our forgiveness. But the truth is, holding on to that anger and resentment doesn't hurt the other person. It hurts us. It keeps us bound to the past and prevents us from moving forward in our lives. Forgiveness isn't about excusing the hurt or pretending like it didn't happen. It's not about forgetting what was done to us or saying that it's okay. Forgiveness is about releasing the hold that the pain and the person who hurt us have over our lives. It's about freeing ourselves from the emotional chains that keep us stuck in a cycle of bitterness and hurt. When we forgive, we are choosing to take control of our own hearts and minds. We are deciding not to let the actions of others determine our happiness, our peace, or our ability to move forward. One of the most powerful aspects of forgiveness is that it doesn't just heal the relationship with the person who wronged us, it heals us. Carrying the weight of unforgiveness is exhausting. It drains our energy, robs us of our joy, and keeps us stuck in a place of hurt. Every time we think about the wrong that was done to us, we relive the pain. But when we choose to forgive, we release that weight. We stop allowing the actions of others to control our emotions, and we free ourselves from the power of the past. Forgiveness is a gift that we give ourselves, not just the other person. Forgiveness doesn't mean that we have to reconcile or remain in a relationship with someone who has hurt us. Sometimes forgiving someone means that we need to let go of the relationship entirely. Forgiveness is about peace, and sometimes peace means walking away from people who continue to hurt us. It's about understanding that we are not defined by the actions of others. We can forgive without allowing someone back into our lives if they are toxic or dangerous. Forgiveness is about healing, and sometimes that healing requires creating distance from those who cause us harm. Forgiving others also allows us to grow. When we hold on to grudges, when we cling to our pain, we limit our own ability to heal and move forward. We are unable to fully experience the joy and peace that life has to offer because we are trapped in the past. But when we forgive, we make room for growth. We let go of the negative energy that holds us back, and we open ourselves up to new experiences, new relationships, and new opportunities. Forgiveness is not just about letting go of anger. It's about making space for something better. Forgiveness is a choice, and it's a choice that we must make for ourselves. It's not easy, and it's not something that happens overnight. It's a process. There may be days when we feel like we've forgiven someone, but then the anger resurfaces. There may be moments when we want to hold on to the hurt because it feels like we're justified in doing so. But the more we choose forgiveness, the easier it becomes. It's a practice, something that we must continually remind ourselves to do every time we feel the bitterness creeping in. We have to choose to let it go. Every time the pain resurfaces, we have to decide that we will not let it control us anymore. Forgiveness doesn't mean that we are weak or that we are letting someone off the hook. In fact, it takes a great deal of strength to forgive. It takes courage to face the pain, to confront the hurt, and to choose to release it. It takes strength to let go of the desire for revenge, to let go of the need for the other person to suffer, and to instead choose peace. Forgiveness is not about allowing others to walk all over us. It's about taking control of our own hearts and minds, about choosing not to be consumed by the negative emotions that hold us hostage. Sometimes forgiveness can feel like an impossible task. The hurt can feel so deep, so raw, that we can't imagine ever letting it go. But it's important to remember that forgiveness is not a one-time act. It's a journey. It's something that we may need to do over and over again, especially when the pain is fresh. But with each act of forgiveness, we grow stronger, we heal more, and we become freer. Forgiveness is a process of releasing the past and embracing the future. It's about reclaiming our peace, our happiness, and our ability to move forward. Ultimately, forgiveness is an act of self-love. It's about choosing to prioritize our own well-being over the anger and resentment that others may have caused us. It's about deciding that we deserve peace, that we deserve joy, and that we are not going to let anyone else take that away from us. When we forgive, we take back control of our lives. We no longer let the hurt of the past determine our present or future. Forgiveness sets us free. It's the key to healing, to moving forward, and to living a life that is no longer defined by the wrongs done to us. When we face struggles and difficult moments in our lives, it's easy to get overwhelmed and focus solely on the negative aspects of what we are going through. We often ask ourselves, why me? Or how much longer will this last? The pain and frustration seem to consume us, and in those moments, it can feel like the end of the world. But there is a powerful truth we must recognize. The trials we face are not meant to break us, but to build us. We are shaped by the challenges that we endure, and it's through adversity that we discover our true strength, resilience, and purpose. Sometimes we view hardship as a burden, something to be avoided or endured as quickly as possible. But what if we saw it differently? What if we saw every difficulty as an opportunity for growth, an opportunity to become the best version of ourselves? Each challenge that we face, whether it's a personal loss, a financial struggle, or a relationship issue, has the potential to shape us into someone stronger, more compassionate, and more capable. It's through the struggle that we find our true potential. In the midst of pain, it can be difficult to see how we could possibly emerge from the situation better than we were before. But if we look at our lives as a series of lessons and experiences, it becomes clear that our greatest growth often comes through the most difficult times. Every challenge forces us to dig deep within ourselves and discover a strength we may not have realized we possessed. Every setback pushes us to reevaluate our priorities, our values, and our approach to life. We learn not just how to survive, but how to thrive, how to adapt, and how to move forward with greater clarity and purpose. The struggles we face also teach us the importance of resilience. Resilience isn't about avoiding difficulties, it's about how we respond when they come. It's about our ability to keep going, to get back up after we've fallen, and to keep pushing forward, even when the road is rough. Life will never be without obstacles, but how we handle those obstacles defines who we are. The more we face hardship and overcome it, the more resilient we become. We start to realize that we are capable of handling much more than we once thought possible. The challenges that once seemed impossible to overcome become stepping stones to something greater. In addition to resilience, hardship teaches us the value of patience and persistence. When we are in the middle of a struggle, we often want a quick solution. We want the pain to stop, the problem to go away, and the situation to resolve itself as quickly as possible. But true growth doesn't happen overnight. It's a process. When we learn to be patient, when we learn to trust in the process, we develop the ability to stay calm and focused in the face of uncertainty. Patience allows us to see the bigger picture, to understand that not everything happens on our timeline, and to trust that things are unfolding as they should. And when we couple patience with persistence, we create an unstoppable force. Persistence means continuing to take action, continuing to move forward, even when progress feels slow or invisible. It's the willingness to keep going, one step at a time, no matter how hard the journey may be. Adversity also has a way of teaching us empathy and compassion. When we go through something painful, we gain a deeper understanding of what others are going through when they face their own challenges. Our pain opens our hearts to others in a way that nothing else can. We learn to listen with compassion, to offer support, and to truly understand the suffering of others. As we heal from our own struggles, we are able to help others heal as well. The pain we endure doesn't just shape us, it connects us to others in a profound way. It teaches us that we are not alone, that everyone has their own battles, and that we all have the power to lift each other up. While it's easy to get lost in the pain of the moment, it's important to remember that hardship is temporary. Just as the seasons change, so too will the difficulties we face. It might feel like the storm will never end, but every storm eventually passes, and when it does, we are left with a new perspective, a stronger sense of self, and a greater appreciation for the good things in life. The pain we go through does not define us, but rather it refines us. It teaches us to be more grateful for the moments of peace, joy, and contentment that come after the struggle. Our greatest strength often emerges not in times of ease, but in the face of adversity. We discover new strengths, new capabilities, and new wisdom through the challenges we overcome. We learn to appreciate the value of hard work, the importance of resilience, and the power of persistence. We discover our own worth, and we realize that no matter what comes our way, we have the ability to handle it. Our struggles are not in vain. They are the tools that God uses to shape us into the people we are meant to be.